show today, I want to talk about and share just a little backstory so you guys can kind of understand who is this woman, where does she come from, why should we listen to her, why is she here, and more importantly, what I want to do is really share with you guys. I really want to focus on sharing with you some of the very practical things that I think come up for a lot of you guys when it comes to really putting yourself out there. Yay, good. Glad you guys can hear me instantly. Perfect. I'm excited. So here's what I want to share. I'm going to share just a short background kind of story about who I am, where I come from. Obviously, if you've seen my emails this week, if you've seen my posts, you know a little bit about me, right? If you've been a follower for a while, then you definitely know my story, right? For those of you who are newer to me and you might not really know, let me give you a little backstory because I want you guys to understand that I do not come from money. I don't come from good education. I do not come from a supportive family. I don't come from any sort of consistency in my life or any sort of like inspiration or support or encouragement. Yet I've been able to start and successfully run and own not one, but two multiple six-figure online businesses. Okay. And we are heading closer and closer to our first $1 million ever. So how does someone do that, right? Let me share a little bit of a background story, and then I'm going to get into some practical things for you guys that I think you're just going to find game changer. Okay. Yeah, say hi, guys. Say hi. Let me know. Drop Facebook if you're on Facebook. Say Instagram if you're over on Instagram. Say hello. Hashtag replay if you are a replayer. We still want to come in and communicate with you. Okay. So I come from a very long history of severe abuse, poverty, neglect, a lot of, starvation, physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, and all the forms, all the areas, all the ways. And I really started my life, guys, like as soon as I was born, foster homes. I was thrown out in a foster home. And back then, I don't know how things are now, but back then, when you got into the state's hands, they bounced you from place to place to place. So I went through probably 8 different foster homes before I even turned 9 years old. Every last one of them were extremely abusive. Okay, some of them I was forced to eat my vomit. Some of them I was locked in rooms, right, for days from the outside. They locked the door from the outside. All of them were physically abusive, mentally, emotionally abusive. Okay, and many of them, I was very lucky if I had a bed to sleep on. I was very lucky if I had a meal on the table. And from day to day, I didn't really know where I was going to live. I just did not know. And so coming from that kind of life, guys, from like being born into that, on top of it, there was severe poverty. Every place that I lived in, it was like they were fostering me for the money. Right? They didn't actually care about me. They were just fostering me for the money. And I think that, that's why they were so abusive. But when you are born into that, there's a lot of trauma. There's a lot of PTSD. There's a lot of thoughts and feelings going on, right? That at such a young age, you don't know how to process, that you don't understand. And so at a young age, I built these walls, I guess. I found a way to cope. It wasn't healthy. It was to become a people pleaser. It was to do things I didn't want to do to make other people happy. It was to close myself in and be very quiet and not share my thoughts, my opinions, just do what everybody wanted me to do. Just be the good girl everybody wants you to be so that they don't send you to another foster home, right? So that they don't spank you or abuse you. And so I started developing very closed in, very just quiet, don't speak, just be seen, not be heard, right? And I got very, I didn't have any trust, right? In other people, not men, not women, not anybody. I had zero trust. I was super insecure. Very, very dependent, very needy, very insecure. I was very, very shy. Looking back at school records, it says like shy and quiet little girl. She's such a shy and quiet little girl. And that was how I coped, right? It was like, don't say what you think or feel. Just shut your mouth. Don't have a voice. Be very quiet. Don't do anything that's going to upset anybody. And if you do something, you're going to get punished for it if it's not done perfectly. I also had a lack of education. So when I finally got adopted at the age of 8 by my great aunt, she adopted me. And although I was not physically abused, my adopted siblings did not like me. They didn't like me. They abused me. They took advantage of me. They treated me like crap. And so even though it was a different level of abuse, I was still experiencing abuse and neglect. So I graduated 8th grade. It took me 2 years. And then once I graduated, my mother pulled me out of school, and we live in Maine, and she shipped me over to Florida to take care of my brother's kids because his wife left him and she didn't want him to lose his business. So she pulled me out of school, sent me there to babysit. So I never actually went to high school. I never had prom. I never had that experience. I had very, very little to no education whatsoever. And really growing up, I was told, like, go to this state, right? The state will give you money. The state will feed you. The state will help you. Go tell them you need help. Like, they owe you. Go tell them, right? There was all this like very entitled energy. So fast forward, guys, to 20 years old, got my own apartment. I was pregnant with my son, my first child, my son. I was a single mom. And where did I go? Straight over to the government. I said, I don't have a place to live. I don't have any food. I don't have any way to provide financially for my child who's on its way. I need a place, right? And so instantly, I got all that help. And I lived that way, guys, for 4 or 5 years or more. I just lived that way for years. I thought that was normal life. Now, the reason I share this with you guys is because I'm going to tie this into why I'm here today, why I started my business, and how the heck did I ever build a successful, profitable second business with no money, no support, no financial backup. I didn't have any education. I didn't know a thing about business. Like, honestly, I feel like so many of you know so much more than I did when I started my business. Like, I feel like you guys are way smarter and have way more knowledge than I did when I started my business. I feel like you guys have an upper hand, right? I really did not know anything. I got my first computer and I was like, oh, what is this? And I started going to work at home mom sites. So way back, guys, fast forward through my childhood, here I am with my son, single mom, living on welfare, living in government housing. And, here's the thing. I never could relate to the people around me. I never could relate to entitlement. I never related to being lazy and just chilling all day and living off the state. I never could relate. When I would connect with the people that lived around me in government housing, I always felt like we are not the same. We are not the same because I don't like this. I don't want it. I'm not proud of it. I'm ashamed and embarrassed. And for people around me, it was like they were living life. Everything was free. Everything was so easy. And for me, I'm like, this does not fulfill me, right? Like, I want more. There's got to be something different. The other thing is I had a son now. And so it wasn't just about me anymore. I had my son who was growing up around poverty. He was literally living the same life I had lived, minus the abuse and neglect, right? Poverty, lack. I was always saying, no, I'm sorry, we can't afford it. Sorry, I can't buy it. Nope. And I was instilling into his brain that, like, we're just broke. This is who we are. We don't have money. We can't afford a lollipop. We can't afford, that drink. We can't afford to go to the store and get pizza. Like, we can't afford it. And so I felt deep inside, like, this is not the life that I want. I don't like this. I'm very embarrassed by it. And when I met my husband, when I first met him, it's very funny because I lied to him, right? I remember telling him, I'm going to school to become a business manager. I wasn't going to school. I wasn't working, but I was so ashamed to have him think that I wasn't doing something with my life. And that was when I knew, like, okay, there's something here I need to figure out. Like, I want more than this, right? There's something, I don't know what it is. I don't know what this means. I just know that I don't want to say no to my son, that I can't buy him something for a couple of dollars. I don't want to live on the state. I want my own place. I want my own vehicle. I want my own money. I wanted a different life. I never, ever agreed with the life and the beliefs that my family was teaching me, that they were brainwashing me with. And so I had to change it. So here's how I literally started. There's no rocket science to this. I literally had my first computer. I don't even remember how I got it, but I had my first computer and I went online and I said, work from home. I did not know what that meant. I was just exploring, like, is there a way I could work at home? I refused to put my kid in daycare. Is there a way that I could work from home? Is there something I could do? And at that time, I knew I liked to help people. I knew that I liked to do, I always back then saw myself as like this professional administrative assistant. Like I could just see me typing on a computer and so I was just kind of looking for stuff like that. I was just trying to get some ideas. I literally started my entrepreneur journey that way. I think it's workathomemom.com. I found that site. And when I found that website, guys, my life changed. Because in that very moment, I started getting freelance jobs. And so I ended up over on guru.com and I was putting in bids and I was getting jobs. Like I was getting gigs. It wasn't very much money, but it was the start of my journey. And this was when I realized, oh, we have opportunity. This is really fantastic. I did this for a while. And then this girl came to me from the Work at Home Mom site. And she said, have you ever thought about becoming an entrepreneur and starting your own business? And I'm like, well, isn't that what I'm doing? And she's like, well, no, you're like a freelancer, right? But so she started connecting me with people. She said, create a Facebook account, connect with these people. She goes, I think you belong here. Okay, cool. I created a Facebook account and the people that she was telling me to follow was Lisa Sasevich, Tina Forsyth, David Nagel. Anyway, Allie Brown. She connected me with these people or told me to go follow them. So I opened up my first Facebook account and I started following these people. And it opened the world of entrepreneurship to me. I studied them day and night. I signed up for everything. I stalked their websites. I went and I watched every live video they had. I stalked them on YouTube. I downloaded everything they had. I was printing it out. I was reading. I was studying. I was literally indulged in what they were doing. That was when I realized, entrepreneurship, coaching industry, right? Now, I didn't start as a coach. I created my own VA agency because I already had freelance clients, right? So I built a VA agency, guys, that was multiple six figures. We had 100 clients across the globe. I had 20 full-time VAs, virtual assistants working for me. It was a massively, wildly successful company. I became the online business manager for Gina DeVee. I started doing high-ticket closing and sales campaigns for David Nagel, for Amanda Goldman-Petrie, Kim Luna. I was in the flesh, guys, with these millionaires. And it was like, oh my God. And so I was so educated and inspired by this, that by surrounding myself with these people opened up a whole new life for me. And that was how I got started, you guys. Okay. That's how I got started. Now, you might be wondering, but what about all your mindset? What about all the lack of your insecurity and your lack of education? What about all your fears, your PTSD, your trauma, your shyness, your be quiet, your people pleasing? What about all of those things? That's what I want to talk about, because every bit of that got in my way. Yes, I was having these opportunities and I was doing these things, but don't for 1 second think this was easy for me. I struggled for 5 years. I couldn't make over $2,000 a month. And if I did, I was really having a good month. I was working 80, 90 hours a week. The whole point of starting the business was to be able to take care of my son and not have to send him to daycare. And the fact that I was in the same house with him and couldn't even see him or spend time with him because I was head down working constantly was defeating the purpose. And my mindset got in my way every step of the way. Right? I'd be reminded of what my family used to tell me, right? You don't deserve this. We're not from that cloth. We are meant to be this way. You do for your family before yourself, all the things, right? I remember being molested. I remember being, punched, locked in rooms, all that stuff started to creep up and it got in my way. So I want to share a few things specifically with you guys that I've had to really do, commit to, invest in, and work my ass off to master day in and day out in order to get where I am today. Okay. And these things are things I'm still progressively working on, guys, because it's what's going to help me get to that $1 million mark, which is right around the corner for us. Okay. Number one, guys, you've got to create a mission and a why that is bigger than your pain, your trauma, or your fear. Here's what I'm going to tell you. If your thing for starting a business every day is to make money, it's not going to be enough. Once you make money, your fears don't go away. You don't make money and your trauma disappears. I can tell you that right now. In fact, it gets larger. It gets larger and louder. The more successful you get, the more money you make, the more responsibility you have, the more visible you are. All the things that are required to have success. Once you start up leveling like that, you better believe that all those traumas, all those PTSD, all those fears, doubts, and all those, demons saying all this stuff in your head gets 10 times larger. That does not go away or quiet down because you make more money. So if your mission and your why is to make money to pay the bills, it is not going to be enough to keep you in the game. If it was, then I wouldn't have any issues with my mindset to this day, right? I wouldn't have lived in government housing for 5 years while making money if money was the thing that would take it all away, if success took all the demons away. I'm going to tell you now, those get louder and larger with every bit of success. So you've got to create. And the reason I say create is because some of you are so comfortable and so settled and so familiar with what you got going on that you've created this little tiny bubble and you just sit in it. And you don't have an urgency. You don't have a real reason to get out there and make a change. And I will tell you right now, it's far easier to stay in government housing and live on food stamps than it is to run a business. Because this is not easy. It is very hard. So you have to really want this. And here's what I will tell you. If you don't have a big urgency, go create one. Go create one. Because if you don't have a big enough mission and a big enough why, you won't do the hard work. You're not going to commit to doing the hard work that is required for you to move forward. You'll make excuses. Drop excuses in the comments for any of you guys who make excuses for not going for something that you want. When you know you want it, you know you need it, but for whatever reason, you give an excuse to get yourself out of it. Drop excuses in the comments if you've done that or are doing that in your life. I would put excuses in that comment box 1,000,000 times over if it was me, because I've done that so many times in my life. If you don't have a mission and a why, you have excuses, right? That means that you have settled with where you are is going to be the place you're going to stay until something happens. You're going to wait for tragedy to happen. You're going to wait for rock bottom to happen. You're going to wait for worst case scenario. And then you'll take action. And what I'm going to tell you now is you can skip over all of that and just create some sort of urgency, some big desire, something you are so emotionally connected with that it must be something that you do. You've got to have some urgency. You've got to have a big mission and a big why, or you're not going to do it. You're not going to do the hard work. Statistics say that only 10% of entrepreneurs ever make it because there's only 10% that are actually willing to do what the other 90% are not willing to do. And one of those things is to create an urgency that is so strong and meaningful to you that it's bigger than all your fears and doubts and trauma. It would have been far easier for me to just stay where I was and live like the rest of my family, you guys. And versus putting myself out there and sharing my story and having to be visible and having to be on camera and having to come here with people I don't know and share what I've been through, very personal trauma that I've been through. It would have been far easier to just sit in low income, quiet my voice, shut myself down, close myself in, speak to no one, do no wrong, have no voice, and have nothing to live for and just sit quiet. That was easier. It just wasn't fulfilling. It wasn't what I wanted. So my urgency, my big mission and why was looking back at what I had gone through and what I have overcome, all my traumas, all of my abuse, what I've overcome, and what I've been able to create and how I've been able to change all of those bad demons and thoughts that my family and foster homes put in my brain, how I've been able to change that. And I have channeled all of my pain and trauma to work for me instead of against me. I use it. I take full advantage of it. I'm not sad about my past. I'm not upset at nobody. I have forgiven them all. I hold no grudge because it's given me such fuel and fire and passion. And I've been able to channel all of that trauma and pain and create a wildly profitable, successful business, second business, by the way, that has had a massive impact on people around me. Without all of that, I don't think I would have done that, right? So I want you guys to really think about what is something bigger than the fear? What is something bigger than your trauma? What is bigger than, your pain that you could really get excited about, get aligned with, and have that be your focus? So for me, I have my son, and that was not an option for him to go through that same life, right? That wasn't an option for me. I didn't want that for him. I didn't want it for me. And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to have a voice. I was sick of being quiet. I was so tired of minding my words and minding my business and being quiet and people pleasing. I was so sick of it. I wanted to have an impact. I wanted to go help other women that were like me. Maybe their situation was different and their abuse and trauma was different, but nonetheless, they had it. And I wanted to find a way to show them, me too, but we can change it. And that was something that was far bigger than my fear because it wasn't about me. I wasn't starting my business for me, right? I wasn't starting my business for me. If I was, I wouldn't have done it. I would have said, it's too scary. I didn't start my business for me. I started my business to change other people's lives. I started my business to help another woman, another mom, another daughter. I started my business to help other people. And when you put that as your focus and your mission, you become irrelevant. It doesn't matter what your fears are. It doesn't matter what your doubts are because the work you're doing isn't about you, right? It's not about you. You guys have to learn how to channel and shift your energy towards something other than yourself. Because if everything you're doing is about you, you're going to have nothing but a life of excuse and lack and small and comfortable. There's no stretch there. So instead of doing something for myself, I turned it around and I said, I want to do something for other people, not me. And then it wasn't about me. It didn't matter what my fear was. It didn't matter what my fear was. It didn't matter what my pain was. None of it mattered anymore because every day when I woke up, my focus was help someone else, change something else, someone's life, impact someone's life, say something that's going to change someone's day around, go do something that's going to make a difference. And every day that's what I was doing. And it was a day by day, but it kept me going, right? So I want you guys, first and foremost, you've got to create, if you don't have one, some kind of urgency. If you got mom and dad paying your bills or your significant others flipping the rent, or, you're living on welfare, maybe like I was, or, you have a job, so you're comfortable financially. If you're on the other side of it and your bank is like, you don't have money, so you can't get help. I didn't have money. I lived on the state. I lived on government housing. You know what I did to get money to invest in my first coach? I went and got some gigs on Guru for like $6 an hour. And I got some work done so I could make enough to make my first investment. Do what you got to do, guys. You do what you got to do. And if you don't have a big enough why and a big enough mission, you're not going to do it. You're literally going to make an excuse. I don't have the money. I would love to, but I can't. Oh, the timing is bad. When is the timing ever right? I've never had the money to make my investments. Even now, my investments are so large, I never have the money to do it. I never have the money to do that. I never have time. Are you kidding? It's never the right time. Nothing is ever perfectly in place. You don't get anything situated first. Like this is the things that you guys have to change because it's the stuff holding you right where you are. You'll be right here in 4 years from now if you keep thinking with that mentality. You've got to think like bigger. And so if you don't have a bigger mission and why, you're going to think small. I will later, maybe next time, maybe in a year. I don't have to right now, so I won't. I can't, I just can't afford it. It's bad timing. You're going to do that in 2, 3, 4 years from now until you create an urgency for yourself. And what I always tell people is don't wait for the breakdown. Don't wait for rock bottom. Do not wait until you're so low you can't get your head up to take a different move, to make a different move, to take a different step. Okay? Do it. Be ahead of the game, guys. Be ahead of the game. Don't wait for an urgency to do something, to act. So that is number one. Create a very big mission and a why that is so much bigger than the fear that you have, right? So your fear is irrelevant. Okay? Second thing is I want you guys to leverage what is in front of you for free. Okay? What do I mean by this? What I mean is so many of you guys are building websites, sales pages. You're setting up all these little funnels that you think are going to make you $1 million while you're on the beach and you don't need to be involved in your business. Here's what I will say. Number one, I'm a people first business. I'm in the business of service. So what that means is I want to be in my business. I want to be part of my clients' lives. I want to be front and center in my company. I started my business to have an impact. How am I going to fulfill that if I have a passive business and hands off and I'm not in my business? Why would you start a business that you don't want to be part of? Right? Why would you start a business you don't want to be part of? That does not make any logical sense to me, right? So for me, when I first started my business, I wanted to work with my clients. I wanted to be on video. I wanted people to know who I was. I wanted to know who my people were. I wanted to have relationships. I didn't want to be closed behind everything and nothing to do with anybody and not part of my client's success and wins and all of that. Like I didn't want this whole like funnel thing and technology. I wanted to just be simple and I wanted to just be with my clients and be part of that. And I wanted people to know me. Right? That's why I started my business. I didn't want to be quiet behind the scenes anymore. I spent my whole life doing that, right? My company is a people first company. I am in the business of service. You don't hide behind your screen and just stuff people in funnels. That's not what this is about, okay? And so what I mean by leverage what is free in front of you is why don't you stop spending so much time creating 400 pieces of content? And why don't you stop spending your time putting 456,000 email sequences in place to a webinar and a funnel that you've never tested, that you've never actually made money with, that you've never done successfully in your life? Why don't you stop trying to skip 5,000 steps ahead? And why don't you be where you're at? Why don't you look at what's around you that is for free, that is low-hanging fruit that you can leverage right now to your advantage to help you make money? Why don't you do that instead? Why don't you build relationships with the other humans around you instead of stuffing them in a funnel like they're a lead or a number and they're meaningless and they don't mean anything to you but money in your pocket, right? I'm going to keep it really real, guys. People do not want to be treated like that. People don't want to be treated like your bank account. Okay? They are humans. We are all humans. We want to be respected. We want to be treated like humans, right? So instead of watching gurus who have been in business 15 years longer than you and trying to copy them and focus on what they're doing, why don't you start where you're at? That's exactly what I did. Mind you, I was following Gina DeVee, Ali Brown, David Nagel. I was following all these millionaires in the industry. However, I didn't try to build a business like theirs. I just started coaching one-on-one, going in other people's Facebook groups, building relationships. I wasn't being pitchy and salesy, building relationships, connecting with other humans, and truly getting to know them. And through getting to know people, I started to build clients organically and naturally. Fast forward 20 years later, guys, we still do the same thing in my company. We don't run no paid ads. I don't have any funnels. I don't have any email sequences. I don't have any automated webinars that pretend to be live. I don't run anyone through any of that. We hit you with human connection the second you hit our space, and it stays that way the whole time you're in my community and as you become a paying client. 90% of our company is run organically with human-to-human interaction. You have so much free access to people and things around you, and yet you spend so much time broke, no money, no clients, Yet you're building out funnels and webinars and technology, and you got to learn it all. The time that you're spending to learn it, to set it up, to run it and test it, you could have already had your $100,000 year, guys. You could have already done that 10 times over in the time that it's taken you to self-educate yourself on how to set up a funnel before you even have a client. Okay? This is the problem in this industry. You're following and listening to people who are further along than you by like 10 plus years. They've been doing this way longer than you. And what they're selling you is a system that they just spent 5, 8, 10, 15 years creating. You think they started with a funnel? You think they started with this magnificent funnel that makes them millions of dollars overnight of passive income? No, of course they didn't. They're selling that to you, but you just started your business yesterday. So how's that going to work for you? You don't have your messaging down. You don't know how to sell. You don't have your mindset in order. You don't have no infrastructure. You have zero systems in place. How is any of that going to work for you? You're not focusing on building any relationships. You're just trying to funnel people into funnels and pitch them. That's what you guys are doing. I'm watching you guys. That's what most of you are doing. You're just like literally chasing people down, trying to pitch to them. You're not building any relationships. You haven't been in business long enough to be setting up $1 million funnels that are passive and automated, okay? You're not focusing on building any meaningful relationships. And that's why you're not getting clients. Your messaging is a mess. You're inconsistent with your visibility. You're not showing up. You're not building any relationships. All of the things that you have in front of you right now are free. Facebook groups. I built both of my almost 7-figure businesses from Facebook groups alone. Not selling a thing. Go look at any of my content. I'm not selling a thing. I'm not selling anything. But yet I'm making multiple 6 figures, nearing $1 million. And guess what? I'm not selling a thing. I'm not going in any of those groups pitching nobody. But I'm leveraging what's free in front of me, and I'm building relationships. And by doing those 2 things consistently, Monday through Friday, for a few hours a day, we are scaling our business. My clients are scaling their business organically, for free, with very little but very strategic effort. Those of you who have been here for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and you're still broke, this is why. You are not leveraging what's in front of you for free. Facebook groups doesn't cost you a penny. A Facebook profile doesn't cost you nothing. Instagram costs you nothing. Conversations with the people you connect with in the DMs costs you nothing. That does not cost. If you took the time and the money that you guys are all putting in towards funnels and email sequences and webinars and technology and admin operations setup, if you took all the time and money you're spending there and you invested in a coach, you'd be making multiple 6 figures a year, if not more, in less of the time that it's taken you to do what you're doing now. That's just logical business, guys, right? That's just logical sense. How do I know this? By going through this myself. Because the first 5 years I struggled financially, mentally, to try to get myself in the right place and get my business off the ground, because I was doing what you guys are doing. 400 pieces of content a week, set up a funnel, stick it over here into a webinar. I should run Facebook ads. Do you know how many thousands of dollars my husband and I wasted on Facebook ads? I'm not saying they don't work, but you need certain things in place. If you can't sell your stuff for free, don't think putting it in a Facebook funnel is going to make you money. If you can't sell what you've got for free, you're not going to sell it for paid either. So again, you guys, this is logical, but nobody's teaching you this. Nobody's telling you this straight up because they want you to buy their shiny courses. They want you to invest in their stuff and make them money, right? But remember what I said at the beginning of this. I didn't start my business for me. I started my business to make a difference. So I'm the person that's going to give it to you real. I'm the person that's going to say what you probably don't want to hear. I'm the person that's going to say what's going to make you uncomfortable, right? I'm the person that's going to give you the truth, which is against what everybody else is teaching you. Because I'm not here to put money in my pocket. I'm not here to steal leads. I'm not here to create leads. I'm here for human-to-human interaction, right? So while you're investing your hard-earned money into course creators who are just looking to fill their bank accounts, you should be over here listening to me, where I'm giving you the real truth of what this is, right? So again, leverage what's free in front of you, okay? Be smarter. Be smarter. Work smarter, guys, not harder. Work smarter. Understand that what is in front of you for free right now, if you can't make money with it, do not think you're going to create some automated funnel to a webinar that's recorded to a Facebook ad to whatever. And all of a sudden you're just going to be on the beach sipping coladas. You got your friggin' fancy dream home mansion on the top of a mountain somewhere and you don't have to lift your finger. Good luck with that. I don't know anyone who's ever done that. Okay. So pay attention to who you're watching and learning from and ask yourself, how long have they been in business to create that? Where did they start? What was their journey like to get to where they are? Because that's the stuff you guys don't know. And that's the stuff you're not looking at. You know why? Because all these course creators you're investing in, all these course creators that you're investing in, their number one goal is to sell you the sexiest thing that you'll chew up and buy. The thing that sounds so sexy that you'll buy it like that, regardless if it helps you or not. Right? That's not what we do. That's not what I do. That's not why I started my business. So that's number 2. Okay. The third thing, embrace failure. I'm going to just say that, and I think I did a podcast on this, my greatest success has come from my greatest failures. Oh boy, have I failed. I've made some terrible mistakes. I've made some very bad decisions. I've got myself into some crazy tailspins that took me for a spin. We had great success in a previous company, and then I got all off track and we failed and we lost our house. We lost everything we worked so hard for. So you guys need to embrace failure, because inside of the failure, no matter how hard it might be to accept it, no matter how bad it might feel, no matter how bad it might be, that failure is going to teach you something invaluable. Okay, it is going to tell you, there's a lesson in that failure that's going to change the game for you. Every bit of success I've had has come from my failure. Do you know why I know the clients I want to work with? Because I've worked with clients I don't want to work with. Do you know why I know what I do want? Because I've experienced enough of what I don't want. Okay. Do you know why I know how to make a fast decision? Because I spent my whole life being indecisive and spinning my wheels because I couldn't make a damn decision. Do you know why I take imperfect action? Because I spent my whole life trying to be so perfect for everybody, and it still shit on me. It didn't move me any further. You're going to have your greatest lessons and your biggest success inside of those failures, even though they feel terrible. Okay, trust me. I banged my head off walls. I've cried. I've thrown my arms up and been done. I've lost everything before. Believe me, I'm not saying it's easy, but failure is part of creating success. It's like thinking about, you don't know a good man. You don't know a good man till you have a bad one. How do you compare without both, right? You don't know a good piece of fruit until you have a rotten piece of fruit, right? You don't know what a good meal is unless you've had really bad meals, right? Here's what I'll tell you. I spent half of my very young toddler life starving, malnourished, not fed, didn't know where my next meal was coming from. Most days didn't even eat. Do you know how well I can enjoy a meal today? Do you know how much gratitude I have for every bit of food that I have? Every piece that goes into my mouth? Do you know how much I savor it? Do you know how much I respect it? Do you know how much gratitude I have for it? Because I know what it's like to not have it. Do you know why I feed families every year? Do you know why I take a portion of what I make in this business and go feed families that need it? Because I know what it's like to be starving. And here's what I will tell you. Here's what I will say. It is a lot harder to be hungry and starving and not be able to pay your bills than it is to put yourself on live video and go make a difference. So for those of you that are like, oh, I'm so scared to go on live video. You know what? I was scared too when I was starving to death. There's no pain like hunger. I promise you. I'd rather go through anything else. There's no pain like being starving. So for those of you who think you know fear, think back about some of the traumas that people have gone through. Because here's what I'll tell you. It is a lot easier to put myself out there and be a little scared than it is to not be able to pay my bills. It's a lot harder to be starving and not be able to eat than it is to just go live, share my story with you guys, have an impact, make a difference, and call it a day. All those things that you think are so scary, compare it to something more tragic, more meaningful. Okay? Because showing up and going live, making an investment, you think that's scary? Try not paying your bills. That's scary. Try not knowing how you're going to keep power in your house, how you're going to feed your children. That is harder and scarier than investing in a coach who's going to help you make money and make a difference. Okay. So again, guys, these are the perspective shifts that you're going to need to start making if you want to move from where you are to any other place. Okay. You've got to embrace the failure. You've got to understand that this shit's not going to be easy, but there's things that are a lot harder. There's things that are a lot harder than what you're making as excuses to keep you super small. There's something far more scarier and harder than going live and putting yourself out there and being consistent and investing in someone who can help you. Okay. The fourth thing is, which leads me right into that, is you've got to get support from somebody who can speed up the learning process. Okay. Here's what I'll say. It can take you all by yourself 1 to 5 years to figure out how to get to 6 figures consistently. I'm not saying just one and done. I'm saying consistently. It can take you all by yourself from 1 to 5 years to do that. When you can invest in somebody who's been there, done that, who can give you their templates, give you the process, guide you, coach you, and have you do that in, just 6 months, 12 months or less. 12 months or less, you could be doing multiple 6 figures. Understand and acknowledge that you don't know what you don't know. We don't know what we don't know, right? If there's stuff that you don't know how to do, which way to do, that is keeping you kind of tail spinning and stuck, how long can you afford to do that? How long are you willing to do that? I was willing for 5 years, apparently. You know why I was willing for 5 years? Because I lived off government state that whole time. So I had a crutch. So do you have a crutch? If you guys have a crutch, get rid of it. Eliminate the crutch. Put a little fire under your ass. Get rid of the crutch and put yourself in the game. That's what I had to do. I had to get off state. I had to get off state and force myself to do it. You know, another crutch I had, my husband had a job. My husband always had a job. So guess what I always said in the back of my mind? Oh, if I can't afford it, if I don't make enough money in the business, my husband can take care of it. Well, guess what? I retired him this year. I retired him. So I am the breadwinner of the family now. That is eliminating the crutch, guys. I put a new fire under my ass to go bigger and go harder. Okay. So what I want to tell you guys is by investing in people who are far beyond you, who have been where you are and can help you get there faster, why would you take the slower route? Why would you want it to take 1 to 5 years to do it yourself and struggle the whole time trying to piece it together? Then just go to someone who can already do it for you. Like, here's my stuff. Take it and go do it. It doesn't make any sense, right? It doesn't make any sense. Okay, the fifth thing, you've got to become masterful at sales, repetition, and simplicity. 90% of you overcomplicate business so much so that you can't even get out of your own tracks. You've got every piece of it so complicated and you're overthinking and you're trying to perfect so much so that you can't even get out of your own way. Simplicity, guys, will set you free. Repetition will set you free. For those of you creating a different course every week, you're creating a different offer every week, your niche is different, your message is different, your prices are different. You're all over the place and everything. You're flopping like a fish out of water, right? And everything you're doing is different all the time. That's why you're broke. You are not going to have consistent, sustainable success and profit in your business, a profitable business, if you don't know how to have repetition. Consistency is the key, you guys. Consistency is the key. And so you need to do something long enough to master it. Doing it for a week or two and then being like, oh, it didn't work. Let me sell something else. Oh, I sold it at this price. No one bought it. Let me lower the price. That's your problem. Okay, so simplicity and repetition, guys, is going to be the key to your success and your freedom. Okay, and the other thing is, let me say this. Sales is not a strategy. When I first started my business, I hated sales. My sister was in direct sales and she tried to get me into it all the time. And I used to tell her, I hate sales. I'm never going to do sales. I don't know how you spend your life doing that every day. I will never do it. It sounds awful. I'm not doing it. I had no interest. I hated sales. And guess what, guys? I'm a sales coach. I don't like sales. I don't look at sales as sales. You need to understand the psychology behind sales. You need to understand what is sales really and how do you do it effectively, right? 90% of what I teach is soulful social selling. Sales is about serving and solving problems. It is not about selling to people. So for all of you that are chasing that money and chasing the next sale and you're so desperate for sales, that's why you're chasing sales. Stop doing that. You won't chase sales anymore, right? This gets to look like and be however you choose. You could take the hard way. You could take the lonely route. You could take the long way. That's your choice. Or you cannot. It's your choice. This gets to be and feel however you choose. If you want it to be hard, then go have fun, go struggle. If you want this to be easy, then it gets to be easy. If you want this to be fast, it gets to be fast. But I'm going to tell you right now that sales is not a strategy. You're not going to learn how to sell through a course. You're going to learn how to sell through doing it, through selling, through serving, through showing up and solving people's problems and getting paid for it, by practicing and actually learning how to sell, learning what it means to sell, learning what it feels like for the other person. What's going on upstairs when you're selling to them? If you don't, sales is not a strategy, it's a skill set. My clients come in and work with me for a year to master sales, and then they renew for another to continue to master selling. I have spent the past 20 years mastering the art of sales, the psychology of selling. That's why I can close $30,000 and $50,000 sales right on a phone call to a stranger I've never met before. Right? Over and over. I did it for David Nagel. I did it for Amanda Goldman-Petrie. I did it for Kim Luna. I've done it. Not just in my company, but for $1 million leaders in our industry. Why? Because I've literally spent over 500 hours on sales calls, guys, in sales conversations, speaking to other humans, learning the art and the craft of what you say and how you say it. For those of you who think you could just put this funnel together and it's just going to make you all this money, this is half the problem in this industry. Sales is not a strategy. Do you know why those strategies work? Because you've mastered the art of sales. You know how to communicate it. You know how to put it into words. You know how to talk to people. You understand what's going on psychologically in their brain when you're speaking to them. When you understand that, you can apply that to any funnel or email or live or whatever. Absolutely. But until you learn that, you're just regurgitating what you see other people doing. But guess what? Those other people who are doing that so successfully have mastered sales and the communication, the psychology of it. And they've spent all these years doing that. You're coming up yesterday trying to do it. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You're not going to fast track your success that way. So put less focus on, I need to learn technology and websites and funnels. And I didn't have a website for the first 8 years of my business. And even then I put up a crappy one. I've never made any sales for my website, ever. Do you know where my sales happen? In conversations in the DMs, 100% for the past 5 years. Right in the DMs. I haven't had a single sales call, and I don't have to because I spent 20 years having calls. So I don't have to. I get to have it easy now. But for those of you who are just starting your business, you haven't done the hard work yet. You haven't put in the work. I always tell my clients, you've got to put in the hard work to get the hard-earned result. You don't get the reward just because you want it. You don't get the reward just because you showed up here. You don't get the reward just because you did an action. You got to put the hard work in like the rest of us have had to. It's almost an insult to think that you don't have to work as hard as we've had to, right? Certainly you can make investments and people can help you curve that time and speed it up, but you're still going to have to work hard and put in the work. And all these people that you're watching who are so much further along than you, that have been doing this way longer than you, they've put in the hard work that you're not putting in. And that's why they're where they are. They're not cutting corners. They're not trying to skip 50 steps ahead. They're not looking for the next sexy little course for $97 that's going to give them the big win. We're smarter than that. We know better than that. Those are just sexy things that people are trying to get money in their pocket, so they're pitching it to you. They know you'll buy it because it sounds sexy. But when you're knowledged, when you have knowledge about business and you understand that's not how this works, right? That's when you'll make a different action. You'll make a different decision. You guys need to stick around people that are going to educate you properly and not just try to fill their pockets and their bank accounts with your money, right? You need to be surrounded by people that truly, genuinely want you to have success and want to support you and actually building a profitable, sustainable, thriving business. And I'm going to tell you, you can look at it being the next year or so of really putting in that hard work and mastering repetition and sales in order for that to happen. And here's the thing, anyone can go off and make some quick money. I see it all the time. You also see people make hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars, and then they're done after that. Their business crashes, and guess what? They don't know how to replicate it. They don't know how to do it again and again. That's one of the biggest fears that come up. Can I do this again? Can I make this happen again? If you have the right things in place, yes. But if it was just, ooh, it just happened because it happened, then you don't have a replicable system in place to help you make that happen again, right? So those are the things, guys. I want you to really look at leveraging what is in front of you for free. That gives you an opportunity for low-hanging fruit to get into those conversations with people, truly build those relationships with people. And I want you to be more mindful about what you invest in. I want you to be more mindful. Okay, I've made a lot of investments in my business, and I'm not saying they're bad. I've learned a lesson in all of them, but that's why I'm here educating you guys on some of the things that you guys are giving your time and your money to, and you're wondering why you're still not at the next level. You're still not where you want to be. You've got to take a step back and zoom out, and you've got to acknowledge where you're going wrong. You've got to acknowledge what you need to do differently, right? If nothing changes, nothing changes. You're not going to do the same thing over and over and over and get a different result. You're going to get the same result every time. Why do you think I tell you repetition is so important, right? Why do you think we have, $50, $60, $70, $80,000 launches back to back to back to back like this in my company, month after month after month, organically? Why do you think my clients are doing that? Repetition. Guess what? They're in my program, launching the same program, the same workshop, the same strategies, the same message to the same people over and over for the whole friggin' year. They've made more money in 4 months than they have their whole business before. Repetition, guys, is key. Repetition is the key. So for those of you who think you can just invest in these little baby courses that are going to give you a little tiny, tiny little piece of what is probably not even accurate for where your business is at, and what, you're just going to magically make that work for you overnight without having the experience and the time put into your business and the systems and structure and the foundation and clarity. Come on, guys, we're smarter than this, right? We're smarter. You've got to be smarter and not fall so quickly and buy in to these people who are just selling you what sounds so sexy, like overnight type of stuff. Oh, just set up this. We'll teach you how to set it right up and make it just magically work for your business, right? You guys have to be smarter than that. Do you think that's what they did to do this? Do you think they just woke up one day, created a funnel, recorded a webinar, just ran ads to it, and boom, they made millions of dollars and they've been a success story for life? Do you really think that's how it happened? Just like that? Go do your research. Those people have been at this for years. And many of these people that you're buying these courses from, I've been following for 20 years. This is not where they started. They started right where you are right now. They started right where I was 20 years ago. And they worked their way to that. Do you know how many mistakes they made? Do you know how many failed launches they've made? Do you know how many times they've changed their website? Do you know how many times they've changed their niche, their offers? Do you know how many times they've pivoted to get where they are right now? Okay, so I want you guys to be more mindful. I want you to be a little more cautious and do a little more education. Don't be stupid, be smart business owners. Everyone here is talented, right? You all are smart. We're all adults. Otherwise, I don't think you'd be attempting to run a business. I want you to understand that your investments need to be smarter. Okay, doesn't mean you need to sit on it and procrastinate for a year, but you need to be smarter about your decisions. And remember that when you tell yourself, I would love to, but I would love to, but I can't. I would love to, but I don't have time. I would love to, but I don't have the money. When are you going to have the money? How are you going to make the money? What are you going to do different that you're not doing right now? Or that you haven't already tried? This is such a beautiful question. When someone comes to me and says, oh my God, Ann, I would love to work with you. Oh my God, I would love to do this. I know I need it. But I don't have the money. Okay. Maybe you don't. I know I didn't. I know my bank was pretty empty for a while. Okay. Maybe you don't have the money. So tell me what you're going to go do right now that you haven't already been doing for 6 months or a year, however long you've been at this. What are you going to go do differently to create the money that you haven't already tried without success, or that you're not already doing now that's not working? How are you going to change your situation? Because if nothing changes, nothing changes. Are you waiting for some magical thing to happen? Are you hoping that you'll wake up tomorrow and all of a sudden you're a genius? What is your plan then? What is your plan? Go ask yourself that question. Sit on that for a little bit, because that was what my coach asked me when I said, I can't. I live in low income and I don't have any money. I can't do it. And she said, okay, so what are you going to do then? I said, I don't know. She goes, well, you've already been doing this for 5 years and you've been stuck. Right? You haven't been able to figure it out yourself in 5 years. What are you going to go do different? I said, I don't know. I don't know. She goes, do you think something magical is going to happen overnight? I'm like, probably not. She's like, okay. She goes, so everything you're doing right now is not working. What are you going to do different, Ann? I couldn't answer her question. She asked it over and over and over. And every time I'm like, I don't know. She goes, okay, so then nothing's going to change. You'll never have the money. And I went and sat on that and I cried, and it like killed me because I was trying to be like, there's got to be a way. It's got to be a solution. It's got to be a solution. Like that question changed my whole thought process because I couldn't answer it. I had no idea what I was going to do because in my mind, I felt like I had tried everything, and everything I was doing at that time was not working. I could not answer that question. And so it's a question I ask people when they come to me now and say, I need your program, I need your help, I need this. And then they say, but you don't need to invest in me. You don't need to invest in anything. But what are you going to do then? Right? What are you going to do different that you haven't already done or that you're doing right now and it's not working? It's up to you. Figure it out. So I literally went out and I sold stuff I had that I wasn't using, and I borrowed money. It felt like crap. It felt so bad because I had already borrowed so much from my family just to buy diapers and stuff. It felt awful. But I did what I had to do. And guess what? I made my first investment, a little bit of borrowed, a little bit of credit card, and I sold a few things. It was a $5,000 investment for 3 months of coaching. Okay. I made that investment, and in 30 days, she took me to $10,000 months that was recurring for 6 months. Guys, I mean, I'm just saying, I haven't been without a coach since. I have not been without a coach since. And now I invest in multi-million-dollar mentors. Always people ahead of me, further along, because I know that when I do that, I'm not only getting the support and the elevation I need, right? But I'm getting the knowledge and the coaching that I need to move faster. Guys, for 5 years, I couldn't get over $2,000. In 30 days of making that investment with her, I was already making $10K that was recurring for 6 months. I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's like, duh. That made so much sense to me, and I've never been without a mentor since. I've never had to say, I can't do it, I can't afford it. Never. I don't say that. If there's something I know I need and I want, I'll find a way to do it, because here's what I know. I know that when I invest in myself or my business, I'm going to do whatever I need to do to get my ROI from that investment. It's not up to them. She didn't get me the money. She taught me what I needed to know, and I did the work and made the money. But without her guidance, I didn't know what to do differently, right? You see where I'm going? I didn't invest in her so that she could get me the money. I invested in her to teach me what I had to do differently to go make the money. I was very willing to work in my business. To this day, I'm very, very active in my business. If a mentor tells me to do something, I do it. Super coachable. Because I know that's what moves me, right? But when I make an investment, I'm not doing it for like, oh, let me invest in you, make me money quick. That's the wrong mentality. I invest saying, tell me what I need to do, show me the way, I'm ready to go. And then I do that. I implement, I take that action. And that's why I'm just progressively scaling my revenue constantly. And I'm able to help my clients do the same, right? So again, I want you guys to think about all of this stuff. I want you to listen to this back and listen to it again. And I want you to get honest with yourself. I want you to get honest, because you can sit and spend 5 years spinning your wheels just like I did, thinking that something will show up one day. And I will tell you, knowledge is not powerful if you don't know how to use it. If you don't know how to put your knowledge to work for you, it's pointless. I worked with some of the best millionaires that you guys all follow and are inspired by today. I've worked in their businesses with and for them. And what I can tell you right now is I know enough to build multiple millions of dollars in businesses, but I haven't hit my first million yet. Knowledge is only powerful when you know how to use it. And for me, I don't know how to use all of that yet. Right? So you've got to get real with that. You've got to accept that, and you got to look at that. You got to understand that it's not about going out and learning more stuff. Okay? Hopefully this was helpful for you guys. I hope you got something out of this. Share below any of your thoughts or feedback. We'd love to hear from you guys. If there's any of you here that are feeling the wrath of any of this and it's really resonating with you, drop resonate down in the comments. My team will reach out to you and we can absolutely talk about how we can support you, how we can help you. Trust me, if anyone's been there in the struggle bus, guys, it's been me. If this story hasn't kind of opened your eyes to that yet and inspired you a little bit, put a little fire, maybe some new fire under your ass a little bit, it will. Listen again, because you didn't hear it. Listen again, listen again. But definitely, guys, go ahead and drop in the comments if you want someone to reach out to you, and we'll connect with you and show you how we can help you speed things up in a proper way, in an efficient way. We'll see you guys next week. All right, bye, guys.